Hey fellas, this is going to be a CD update from yours truly. It's been a while since I last did one of these, so this one's going to be exceptionally lengthy since I got a lot to show you guys. There's actually like 20 others, but I haven't listened to them yet since life's been particularly interesting lately. But I'm going to get through the good chunk I have listened to, and yeah, here we go. I have a bunch of Stroke CDs. In order, I got Room on Fire, what's this? Impressions, First Impressions of Earth, yeah, that's what it's called. Angles, and what was this? Come Down Machine. Come Down Machine, I think, would be my least favorite of the four. Room on Fire being either Room on Fire and First Impressions of Earth, I think, would be in between those. I like both of them evenly for doing different things. Room on Fire, staying true to is it, but First Impressions of Earth having better production, everything coming in more punchier and clearer, more variety. Angles is pretty good. Dude, look it up. I think my cat's messing with the hamper. Yeah, I'll deal with it later. But yeah, if you haven't gotten into the Strokes, I wholeheartedly recommend starting with Is This It? That's my favorite. I have it on vinyl. Fantastic album, if you ever get the chance to listen to it. Okay, let's see what we got a bunch of them right here, okay. Alright, we'll roll with it. Colin Stetson's New History Warfare Volume 2, Judges. Very peculiar saxophone-based music from longtime Arcade Fire collaborator and Tom Waits collaborator. I don't know if he collaborated with him more further than what's the album called? Blood Money, which is one of my favorite Tom Waits albums. But on this one, he's really demonstrating great songwriting chops, performance chops. This whole thing was done in one take, and it sounds so excellent. It's pretty unbelievable. There's some features from Laurie Anderson and the chick from My Brightest Diamond, I believe. Do look into that, and do look into Colin Stetson's work, especially his new album he did with Sarah Neufeld. What's that album called? Never Were the Way She Was. Tweedy's debut album, Suki Ray. This is the debut album of father-son supergroup Tweedy. It's like 70 minutes long. I wouldn't say it's an exceptional album, but it's a pretty good album. Loses steam for me quite there, and doesn't have it's got plenty of variety, seeing it's like 20 tracks long, I believe. But I think the songwriting could have been more interesting, if you ask me. Do look into that though. Do look into Wilco as well. That's where Jeff Tweedy eventually broke out into the world of music, mainstream stuff. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. The Bad Plus is Made Possible. This is a jazz album that infuses some electronic drums and like synths and all that. Pretty interesting. It's piano focused, so you kind of get like a piano yeah. It's led via piano instead of anything like sax or trumpet. But yeah, this is an interesting album. Look into that if you can. If you're ever trying to need to get into jazz music or the Bad Plus in general. Slint, Spiderland. Now this was interesting. It is essentially, I guess it's a post-rock album, math rock album of some kind. I don't know how you describe it, since it's not long. It's not a long enough album to be a post-rock album, plus it's got vocals, but it's definitely more instrumentally based, sinister, there's a build to it. Yeah, it's awesome. should have checked. I should have looked at that album much sooner than I did, but yeah, it's good. Look it up. Jonsi and Alex's Rice Boy Sleeps. This is the. I love this packaging. It's peculiar, but this is the studio album of the collaboration between Jonsi of Sigur Rós and his boyfriend Alex Sumners, I believe his last name is, and straight up ambient music pretty much, and it's pretty interesting. There's actually a track on the album that features the only known vocalist to sing in a range called castrato, which is it's what it sounds like. It's a vocal range that's only possible by castrating a male specifically, or if a young man never actually goes through puberty, which is kind of an unethical, but it's pretty to listen to, despite how unethical it is to achieve that. But yeah, definitely a good album from Jonsi. I hope he decides to make a new Sigur Rós album at some point. Hopefully next year, maybe the year after that. I don't know. It's Sigur Rós, they can do whatever they want. A$AP Rocky's Long Live A$AP. This is a pretty good hip hop album. Like lots of eclectic beats in a way. You got Skrillex as production on a track, Clams Casinos doing production on tracks, a bunch of other producers. For the most part, you got really good features on it, such as Schoolboy Q, Kendrick Lamar's on it. There's like a posse track that has Joey Badass, Yellow Wolf, Danny Brown, Action Bronson, and Big Crit on it. That's like aside from the deluxe edition tracks, that's like the only the last song on the album with features on it. But he's on here doing his thing, and he's doing it well. Production is nice. It's artsy. It's artsy. It's pretty much what you would expect from A$AP Rocky if you've heard his this album after this, which I'm about to show you, and his mixtape Live Love A$AP that came before this. So yeah, do look into that. It's good. Speaking of good hip hop albums, Cause, The Knight's Gambit, sinister rap flow with some pretty equally as sinister production and beats. It's pretty interesting. Only one feature from Rock Marciano. Yeah, do look into that if you like really experimental and whisper quiet rapping, you know. And finally, from the stuff that's not new, Explosion in the Skies, All of a Sudden I Miss Everyone. I listened to this yesterday. I actually listened to it quite a few times before yesterday, but yesterday it really hit me how good this album was, probably because I was in a certain emotional state, and how interesting a genre post-rock is in general. I think post-rock is hopefully going to make a comeback with Godspeed You Black Emperor dropping their new album this year, as well as Alleluia Don't Bid to Sin 3 years ago. But if you are looking to get into post-rock, do look into Explosion in the Sky, Godspeed You Black Emperor, Sigur Rós, a bunch of other yeah, my Zelda noticed a bug. But yeah, do look into those bands. All right, now we're gonna try to get through the ever numerous new music I've got. I might have to do a separate video for this if it becomes too big for YouTube or too big for your patience. But I got two copies of Luminescence by Hot on Fire. Funny story. I originally ordered it and it was supposed to come the next 3 or 5 days later. This one did not show. So I complained and they sent me this one with 1 day shipping for free. Got to me, but when it did, the case was damaged. But the CD played perfectly fine. I I actually played this when I saw High on Fire a few weeks ago. Yeah. So this came, and then like a month or so later, when I guess coincidentally when I switched to Amazon Prime, this came, the original one I got. So I got two of them. Probably gonna send this over to the place that takes CDs that I go to. Zelda. Don't worry about it. It's just a bug. But yeah. Do look into High on Fire if you haven't. I finally have all their CDs, and I actually have this on vinyl now since I saw it at the concert. I thought, yeah, this looks pretty cool, and I'll share that with you whenever I do a vinyl update. Whenever I feel like doing a vinyl update, since I don't know if I'm that crazy about showing vinyl anymore. I love vinyl, but I don't know about showing it. Yeah, this might be a little too much. Fuck it. We'll roll with it. I'll try to get through these a little speedily. Algiers' debut album. This is a really peculiar fusion of the new world, sort of industrial, post-punk, no-wave, gothic rock with the old rock and roll, soul, gospel, blues. It fuses these all together for like a protest album of sorts about a lot of socio-political issues that are affecting the nation of today, and probably will continue to for the time to come. Do look into this; it's great. It's one of my favorite albums of June, along with High on Fire's Luminiferous. Miguel's Wild Heart. This kind of fell out of favor with me a little bit, probably because I don't know, man. I think that Miguel's appeal kind of wore off of me after giving it more and more listens, whereas initially it was really growing on me. But do they give this a try if you're looking to get into alternative R&B? It's kind of rocky. It's very interesting. I think his lyrical approach to these kind of things is a little better than what most modern day R&B is doing, and yeah, try it out. Ghosts, Meliora. This is actually my first Ghost album I ever bought, and I'm glad I did, because while the production is pretty clean, and practically pretty much it's more of a rock album than is a metal album. This is great. This is really good. I do recommend this to anyone who likes traditional metal, hard rock, progressive rock. It's most certainly a good album to get into. Especially if you're not that familiar with Ghost yet, but kind of want to. Yeah. Viet Cong's debut self-titled album. This is noise rock, garage rock, post-punk type thing that's really awesome. I recommend it to anyone, especially women fans, because this was born out of women's breakup, the band Women. Yeah, it's got 7 tracks, 38 minutes, so it's relatively accessible in a way. My favorite track, I actually saw them live at Shaky Knees a while back. That's where I got this shirt, but yeah, do look into Viet Cong. They put on a great live show. They're doing some really interesting things with rock music right now. Speaking of doing interesting things in the genre, except this is house and dance music. Jamiexx In Color. A lot better than I was expecting it to be, since I don't know, the prospect of a dance album or a house album with with a Young Thug feature on it seemed kind of a turn off. Not too much of a turn off, obviously, since I actually ended up enjoying this a lot. But yeah, if you're looking for colorful and creative house music, dance music, UK garage or whatever music. Do look into it. Good album. Mumford and Sons is Wilder Mine. I didn't know what to expect of it when I first heard it, but now that I heard it, I really enjoy it. I think it's they go completely electric and like ditch the folk thing altogether, which has its detriments. I think Marcus also going for a less spiritual lyrical palette has had its downfalls in a way in terms of lyricism. But I think they're doing interesting things on this album, and for some reason the CD keeps falling out. But I think they're doing interesting things on this album, better than a lot of pop rock that's been coming out for a little while. So do look into that. Also, this monstrosity. Oh god, Kamasi Washington's The Epic. It's epic. I would not recommend this if you're just now trying to get into jazz, since it's 3 hours long. And but if you are trying to get into it and you're just now trying to get into jazz, it's 3 volumes, okay? It's 3 discs with an hour, pretty much an hour's worth of material each. What you should do to get into it is to listen to one CD, take a break, listen to the same CD again, or just continue on to the next CD, and just listen to all 3 of them like it's its own separate piece versus, it being part of this monstrous 3-hour long album thing. And then when you're ready, and when you feel like you're ready to marathon the whole thing, go ahead. Of course, don't listen to me since I just pretty much marathoned the whole thing upon first impression. It's not as esoteric or accessible as it may seem, but yeah, do give that Kamasi Washington a try. Not every day do you see people making debuts on a big label, like a major label debuts with 3 hours of material, and it's a jazz album. It's not that common. What's also not that common is a new Dr. Dre album. Compton. This came out last month, and it's actually really good. I was actually pretty impressed and surprised with this. But in hindsight, I shouldn't be surprised, since Dre, I believe, is a perfectionist when it comes to his own work, as well as the work he affiliates himself with. Anyone who Dre works with is going to do great things later on. Just to name a few: Tupac, Eminem, Snoop Dogg, The Game, Kendrick Lamar. To see this album, his first and probably his last in 16 years, do so well. Do so well with the production, do so well with the features, do so well with the lyrics. It's really refreshing, and yeah, it's really good. Do check it out. Obviously, it's not just exclusively on Apple anymore, so there you go. Tame Impala's Currents. This is the 3rd album from psychedelic project, the solo psychedelic project of Mr. Kevin Parker. It's going for a more synth sound versus a electric guitar sound, but it is very bass guitar heavy. Do look into this if you're trying to get into if you like psychedelic music, if you are in Tame Impala and you're not sure if you want to get into Currents, because I can understand the skepticism of people, whether people should listen to this album or not. But I do think Kevin Parker's doing some pretty intriguing things with the genre, and with blending all of this disco and house and a little bit R&B, bunch of other genres, funk. So yeah, do give that a try. 20 minutes in. Should I keep going? Yeah, I'll keep going. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this a little reverse. ASAP Rocky's At Long Last ASAP. For some reason, when this Best Buy version like messed up with the, yeah, it falls apart. But the CD plays alright. It plays really well. But yeah, like I said with Long Live ASAP, At Long Last ASAP. This one's actually a bit more conceptual in that it's focusing more on LSD, acid. It's more psychedelic than its other releases. I think it's more mature somehow. So yeah, do look into that if you're a hip hop fan. You wanted to give that a try. Florence and the Machine. How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful. This is I actually got the deluxe edition of this. It's got a lot more tracks and this really lengthy art book. Probably some lyrics in there. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in a while. But yeah, do give this a try. It's not as grandiose or artsy as what was it as Ceremonials was, which is actually my favorite Florence and the Machine album, but lyrics are there. It's a lot more punchy, catchy, with songs like What Kind of Man and Ship to Wreck. So yeah, that's a good album. Look into it. Do also look into this, the Bad Plus and Joshua Redman. Bad Plus dropped a new album this year featuring the saxophone player named Joshua Redman. They come together and do an excellent job. Pretty much coming together, making about 8 songs, and the 9th one being a cover, I believe. So yeah, that's a cool album. Pretty cool album indeed. I got 5 more. Okay, let's do this. Drones, Muse. Muse's new album. It came out and the CD also came out. See, it's probably all scratched up and shit. I'm gonna clean that up later. But yeah, I was skeptical to get into this. I was actually expecting to hate this, given songs like, actually really only one song, Psycho. But this ended up being pretty enjoyable, and I finally got Muse's sound. Well, with songs like, what was it, Reapers and Defector, The Globalist. It's like a 10-minute long song. Yeah, if you are trying to get into Muse, I would actually recommend something like Origins of Symmetry or Revelations or whatever that album's called, or Black Hole. I'm not that big of a Muse fan, honestly, but Drones is cool too if you're trying to get their sound. But what's also cool is this album right here, Between the Buried and Me's Coma Eclectic. It hasn't aged well when I first listened to it and got it on CD, but it's still pretty good if you ask me. Reeks of obvious prog influences like Mars Volta and Dream Theater, but still good. Still good if you're interested in Between the Buried and Me. I actually would recommend Colors. A lot of people start with Colors. A lot of people actually praise Colors a lot. Titus Andronicus, The Most Lamentable Tragedy. This is a rock opera, a 90-minute long rock opera about manic depression. And it's pretty interesting, pretty intricate, pretty anthemic. It's been a while since we had an anthemic punk album. I'm talking about a decade ago when Green Day dropped American Idiot. Some people don't like American Idiot, but that's okay because that's not the point. The point is, like, we haven't had an anthemic album. But this one I think is. But I think this album in particular is more climactic, I guess, more theatrical, and the narrative seems a little better than American Idiot. Like the way the album flows per se. The only complaint I would say is like there are way too many tracks on it, but way too many tracks, and it's not that, and some of them are not all that well developed, but still, good album. If you ask me anyway. I'll do this one. Unknown Mortal Orchestra's Multi-Love. This is a very interesting psychedelic rock album, psychedelic pop album. What's different? What makes this different is the production is handled. Like it sounds really subdued and like all these flourishes and like held back, and it can be kind of it can go over people's heads in a way, but I myself listened to it a million times trying to get it, and after a while it just grew on me a lot. I think it's a great album, and I think you should listen to it. And finally, to end this overly long video that probably won't make it onto YouTube, Chelsea Wolfe's Abyss. Yeah, this is a gothic singer-songwriter, borderline doom metal, not crazy, like pretty much an album that like explores her struggles with sleep paralysis and I guess other general stuff like death and all that good stuff. But this is good. This is probably my favorite album of the last month. Yeah, I'm tired. It's good. It's a great album. It's her singing is great. The production is really eerie. It's creepy. It's great. Shout out to John Congleton, the guy who did the mixing for Swan's previous album, for producing that album. Yeah. All right, that's pretty much it. I'll do another one when I'm not depressed or anything like that. All right.